Hi, my name is Nguyen.
I'm Mattia, Tentori.
Quentin, Salamino.
Bixler.
And we are with Sprouts Farmers Market's Corporate Responsibility Team. And today we'll be talking about child hunger and food insecurity in Dallas, Texas specifically. So let's get a little bit interactive. I want to make sure everyone's awake. So let's start with a quick pop quiz. So what do you think is the percentage of food insecurity for children in Dallas? For those that think A, 15.9%, please raise your hand. Okay, so a little bit over half the class. For B, 7.58%, raise your hand. For C, 10%, raise your hand. Got a few of you. And D, 5%, raise your hand. Okay. So I just want to let you know that you are all completely wrong on that answer. The answer is actually 25%, or 1 over 4. So think about this. If I split this room into 4 even places, one corner would be labeled food insecure. So what does food insecurity mean, and what does it mean for the future America, meaning our children? I'll let Mattia talk more about that.
So food insecurity is an economic or social condition in which there is limited or unavailable access to adequate food. It not only affects an individual, but it affects a whole household. So it affects the father, the mother, and all the children in the household. It's a big problem in children because not only does it affect their current health, and it also affects their future physical, mental, and social development. So let's take a look for some statistics. In the US, 21% of children is food insecure. That means 15 million kids. In Texas, that number is 25.6%, averaging around 1,800,000 children. And in Dallas, Texas, that number grows to 26%. That's about 173,000 children who are going hungry. That's slightly over the national average, and slightly over the state average, and greatly over the national average, which can be a problem. So the implications of being in a food insecure household are impaired physical and mental development in young children under the age of 3, lower math and reading scores in the elementary school and middle school system, and more anxiety overall. So these kids are more prone to depression and such diseases, which all results in a higher chance of repeating a grade or maybe even dropping out of school. So what programs are in place to help these kids? Well, there's several national programs in place, like the National School Lunch Program, the Summer Food Services Program, and the School Breakfast Program. However, none of these programs offer food help to the kids over the weekend. And also we found that through feedingamerica.org, they say that 26% of the food insecure kids in Dallas are not eligible for these programs. Kevin will speak more about our initiative at Sprouts.
Okay, so for those that don't know who Sprouts are and what we do, we are like Whole Foods. We serve organically raised food, and we also promote healthy living and a healthy, active lifestyle. So when we look at these shocking statistics, we are very awed by the fact that 1 in 4 children are labeled food insecure, and that there's so many side effects with this. So that being said, we as Sprouts Corporate Responsibility Team, we would like to do something about this. We would like to have goodie bags in which we would like to give away to these students to make sure that, because these school programs only provide food for 5 days of the week, what about the other 3 days of the week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? So these goodie bags will help provide these kids with the extra nutrition over the weekend, which they might not have. And these expenses will be covered with our bad debt expense, also known as allowance for bad debt. And we will also be pairing up with North Texas Food Bank to make sure that our food is delivered to our kids, because they have a very unique but yet simple logistical approach. And as for our partner school who will be participating with our program, Responsible Neighbors, I hand off to Quentin, who will talk more about our selected elementary school.
Thank you. So, as you just heard, child hunger is a very serious problem in Dallas, as well as the US and Texas, but specifically in Dallas. And in order to, for our initiative, we wanted to choose one school to be a part of our project. And, what we found is that the majority of schools are facing the very same problem, that meaning that well over 50% of the student populations are economically disadvantaged. However, we did manage to choose one school, and that was Ignacio Zaragoza Elementary School. So how did we choose this one school? Well, we were able to look at some various demographics, and for example, we were able to find this interactive map on citydata.com, where we were able to see the levels of children living below the poverty line. And as you can see by the darker shades of blue, it gets concentrated towards the center of downtown Dallas. In this closer image, you can see the more condensed area, and represented by red is the areas where well over 80% of children are living below the poverty line. And Ignacio Zaragoza is located right below the red in the top right-hand corner. Now that's a general area, so you may be asking, there could be plenty of schools over there, and just because it's right there, what does that mean? So we had to find something else that would differentiate it, and we dug a little deeper, and we were able to find that Ignacio Zaragoza has the highest level of children eligible for free or reduced lunch. A whopping 98.9% of the students of the school are eligible. That's 379 out of its 384 students. That's 379 students that are possibly going home without food. And that is how we were able to choose this school. And with that in mind, I'm going to pass it off to Mattia to talk to you about the costs of the project.
Thanks. So what are we actually going to be including in our goodie bags for the kids? Well, we've carefully determined that we're going to include 3 boxes of mac and cheese, 3 bags of pita chips, 3 cans of soup, 3 granola bars, 6 juice boxes, and 1 can of beans. We've carefully selected these quantities to ensure that the kids are adequately fed over the weekend. And another thing to remember about these kids is that they're coming from low-income families, and there's going to be pressure to share their food with the rest of the family, which is why we've erred on the side of including more food rather than less. And with that, I'm going to talk about the breakdown of the pricing. So as you can see, over half of our costs are coming from the soup and from our mac and cheese, and that's because they constitute most of the bulk of the meals, which is dinner and lunch over the weekend. Obviously, we have calculated this out, the raw material cost, and we've determined that per weekend per child, it's costing us $7.40. That brings to a weekly total for Sprouts of about $2,800, and there being 36 weeks in the school year, that rounds out to about $100,800 per school year per school. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Kevin to talk about our logistical approach.
Yeah, so as I was talking about North Texas Food Bank earlier, what I mean by a simple logistical line of delivering our food to the neighbors in need. So it's very simple. First, we as Sprouts, we deliver and give and donate our food to North Texas Food Bank and give it to our warehouse. From there, the North Texas Food Bank has various programs in which volunteers from high schools, universities, along with corporates also go to their central food bank and they prepare our food bags. So human capital isn't really an issue. However, that is to be said that we will be also sending in our own Sprout employees to help out with preparing these bags. And from there, the North Texas Food Bank has their own food trucks in which they will drive to Ignacio Zaragoza Elementary School. And from there, we give the food to the neighbors in need. So going back to what I was talking about Sprouts as a whole. We as Sprouts, our mission statement is to provide food for those that like organic foods but also like to live a healthy and active lifestyle. So we've actually gone an extra step in thinking what we can do for these kids, because we have to think about it this way. These aren't just kids. These are the future of America. These kids could be one day the doctor that could be saving you or your children. This could be the next president we're talking about. This could be the next great entrepreneur. So we want to make sure these kids are having the best future they can get. So one of our things we like to do is that we want to have a field day in which we will coordinate with their gym program, in which these kids will go out, they get their fresh breath of air, they're running around to promote that healthy, active lifestyle. Along with that, it's not just about being active, running around playing football or baseball, but it's also making sure they hit their grade points in their classroom. So we've sent a team of our corporate responsibility members to make sure that we go to these schools and make sure that these kids are doing their homework, turning in on time, and making sure that they're also not only excelling health-wise, but also in their grades as well. So that being said, I'm going to hand out to Maddie who will wrap it up and ask you for what we need from you to help fund our program and making sure our kids get the best what they can get.
So today, the Sprouts Corporate Responsibility Team is going to be asking the Dallas Chamber of Commerce for $50,000, which is roughly half of our production and operation costing. So another thing to remember or to keep in mind is ask the question, what is this money going to do? What is it going to cover? Well, for one, it's going to help us expand our operations here at Sprouts. It's going to help us provide a better alternative and a variety of organic foods for these children. And lastly, it's going to allow us to help continue the program. That is allowing us to continue to partner with the North Texas Food Bank and to cover their operational costs as well. At that point, we're going to open it up to any questions that y'all may have.
Over here.
Okay, so you're partnering with North Texas Food Bank, and they have all the human capital, and they prepare your lunch bags and take it to the school, and then it just gets handed out to anyone who wants it, or?
No, like we said with Quentin earlier, there is a select list of students that 98.6% of students who qualify for free or reduced lunch. We're targeting those students specifically because they're the ones that need it, because we understand that these kids are labeled as food insecure, and 9 out of 10 times when they go home, if we go back to the picture earlier, their fridge is probably looking empty. So we as Sprouts, as we mentioned plenty of times, we're here to give that additional nutritional boost to their diets.
More questions?